players were back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Hence the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come.
What a crack! Oh, crack!
It's 2010. The Deepwater Horizon's oil rig has just blown up, but back here we're still using plenty of oil during round 1 and round 2 of the NZRA Drag Racing Nationals.
Strap yourself in and hang on. This is NZRA Drag Racing, the Century UASA Power Series, and round 1 of the summer season begins with the Fram Autolite Northern National. Here we are at Fram Autolite Raceway, race day of round 1 of the Century UASA Power Series. This is action day. Of course, the top division, the Group 1 cars, Castrol Edge Top Alcohol. Their great performance yesterday from John Nealing, running a 588 at 240 miles an hour. John Nealing doesn't have a number 1 on his car. Chris Johnson has the latest number 1 on his car. And Todd Vincent, well, they have 3 number 1s on their car. So that's what he's up against. If we move into the top door slammer division, down on numbers a little bit this season, so again it is going to be tightly contested with the likes of Ross Taylor in the 57 Chevy, Bobby Owens in the Falcon Coupe, and Mike Woodavine had a very good season last year in the Ferrari, made a couple of finals.
I don't really think that today we may not see the car with the most horsepower win this meeting. We're going to see a car that's got consistency. The likes of Woodavine and Bobby Owens in the Falcon have got as equal chance as any of taking away top door slammer.
I think, Gavin, it'll be cloudy, but final day. So come on, Gavin, let's go racing. Important part of drag racing is the start line and track conditions. As you can see, the temperature 95 degrees Fahrenheit, a little bit below optimum. Ideally would be around about the 100 degrees, but still it is a good racetrack as we go into round 1 of Top Alcohol.
We've had a little bit of a build-up to the beginning of this season, which is fantastic because we don't normally get that. So it's starting to show now. First run off the trailer, 588, 240 mile an hour. You've got to look at the track. That's your biggest one. You've got to try and dial that in. If you can dial the track in appropriately, then you're going to go fast.
Round 1 of elimination sees Dave Gould, the bottom qualifier, up against this man, number 1 qualifier, the fastest man, John Nealing. He ran a 588 with a 6 yesterday. He's got horsepower. Dave Gould having trouble getting the car down the racetrack. John Nealing is going to set a good time, a 588, 240 miles an hour.
Yeah, no, second gear's pretty interesting. Yeah. It sort of pulls really, really hard in the middle of the track, and it's a whole lot of fun in the middle of the track.
The defending New Zealand number 1, Chris Johnson, the man they all want to beat. He'll be feeling the pressure right now. Fresh new engine for the season, but he's just seen John Nealing set a record pace.
Our engines are based on a big block Chevrolet, and it's just got a 1471 high helix supercharger on it with methanol injection. At the end of the day, it's consistency that'll win you a championship like we won last year. We weren't the quickest, but it's consistency that gets you there, and that's what we're aiming for again this year.
Chris Johnson's opponent for round 1 of eliminations is Shane Lodge. He won this meeting last year. Has he got what it takes to beat Chris Johnson? No, he's got problem. Severe tyre shake on the start. You see the chutes drop out. He rattled those tyres very hard. An easy win for Chris Johnson, 615 at 223 miles an hour. And that's the end of the day for Shane Lodge and the team. Shane's opponent in last year's final was this man, Maurice McMillan.
We ended up running quickest of 673 at 211, so hopefully today we can get out there and back up a national record for it. We're starting to find a tune-up for it, so hopefully within the next couple of meetings we can really get into it and start doing some numbers.
Maurice's opponent for round 1 of eliminations is Todd Vincent. Last season he was 1 win away from being New Zealand's youngest top alcohol champion when he destroyed that engine.
There's quite a few changes to the car. There's a bigger blower, more powerful blower. A new fuel and ignition system as well. It's still a little bit unknown to us, this combination, so we're just going to try and go out there. We've got our fingers crossed. We think it's going to work, so we're going to hold our fingers crossed and hope it runs a low 6 and gets us the round win.
The 3 number 1s on the side of that car are Dad's Mark Vincent. It is now time for Todd Vincent to earn his first number 1. He gets a good start, and it is side by side Maurice McMillan and Todd Vincent at half track. There is nothing in it. And now the boost from that new engine coming in for Todd Vincent, and he will take the win. It is a PB for Morris McMillan with a 6.6. But the win, 6.33, 2.15 for Todd Vincent. Round 1 of eliminations in Top Door Slammer. As the name would suggest, they are full-body cars, loosely recognisable, purpose-built race cars, but they do have opening and closing doors. Defending New Zealand #1 Ross Taylor is looking to continue his winning success from last season. A good solid burnout from the 57 Chevy, and he's backing it up into their start line, but that is a problem for Ross Taylor. That is oil on the track. That oil is coming out of his race car. He will shut it down, and he will be looking where it's coming from. It's a cruel sport, drag racing. All that preparation for 6 seconds is over for Ross.
Yeah, it's a bit psyched, but just take it as comes another day.
A final pairing in round 1 of Top Door Slammer sees Bobby Owens in the XM Falcon up against Team Squig in an XP Falcon coupe.
Yeah, a lot of it's luck. The cars are not bulletproof and you're leaning on them so hard. Anything can go wrong, anything.
Even horsepower from both cars, so expect an exciting side-by-side drag race. The final pairing in Top Door Slammer, round number 1. Bobby Owens inching into the start line. He gets a much better start than Team Squig, who is just having trouble getting the race car down the track. And again, he's moving to the side of the track, but Bobby Owens has no problem getting it there. He's into the semi-finals with a lot of work to do once he gets past that finish line. And a winning time for Bobby Owens, 7.72 at 183 miles an hour. By qualifying number 1, Mike Woodavine earns the bye in round number 1, and he takes the Ferrari Boxer into the semis with this pass. And he will meet the father and son team of Dave and Chad Tully, who also got a bye run when we saw Ross Taylor have to pull out. Semi-final and final action in Top Door Slammer and Top Alcohol still to come, so let's move into BHT Super Sedan.
I'm the current champion. It's down to the driver, whoever wins. It's a dial-your-own class, so the car's going to perform pretty much the same every time, but it's down to the driver who can actually pick the best ET for their vehicle.
Early round win sees this pairing, John McGinty up against Mark Hudson in a very, very tight semi-final. John McGinty, he won the number 1 last season in the final round of the National Series. Mark Hudson will keep him very honest. He's a very consistent DYO racer, and that's what you need to be to win in Super Sedan. As you can see from the shots, it is very, very close all the way down the racetrack. Side by side, in fact, at the finish line, but Mark Hudson has lost the race by breaking out. John McGinty gets the win. If your elapsed time, or ET, is lower than your dial-in time, you break out and lose. Meeting John McGinty in the final of Super Sedan will be the winner of this pairing. In dial-your-own racing, the racer nominates the time they expect their vehicle to do. There will be a handicap on the start line tree of 1.8 seconds between this pair, so it looks like James Hone is napping on the light, but he is the quicker car and he will catch Stephen Howe at the finish line if he is to win the race. Very tight at the stripe. James Hone is not going to catch Stephen Howe. He will go into the final with an 11.16 on a 10.99 dial-in. BHT Super Sedan final sees John McGinty in the F100 pickup against the Tirana of Stephen Howe. Stephen Howe has been a little bit off the pace, but he's done enough to win all the rounds and get into this final. John McGinty, he is very much on the money. He will run a quicker time, so he will be chasing Stephen Howe. You will see a handicap start. And that is the margin that John McGinty has to catch up. He has bigger horsepower, and that is the compensation of DYO Racing. He drives right around Stephen Howe and is first to the finish line and puts the F100 in the winner's circle with a winning time of 9.81. John McGinty is the VHT Super Sedan champion at the Fram Autolite Northern Nationals. The competition bracket is made up of dragsters and alters. Finishing last season as Australasia's quickest normally aspirated small block Ford dragster. But problems for Anthony Marsh and the team. They cannot get the Marsh Motorsport dragster turning over. Robbie Ward into the semi-finals. The engine that he ran in the 280Z Datsun last year in a dragster.
We decided to build something that was more purpose-built, that would be hopefully faster and definitely safer. It looks like once we can get a full run in without having to back off or something happening, it should run into the 7s, not about 17 to 20 pounds of boost, I'd say.
First full meeting in competition for Robbie Ward and the team in the front engine dragster, and this semi-final up against Ian Boyd in an alternative combination, a 202 Holden in his altered. But the turbo's kicking in for Robbie Ward, and he makes it look very easy with a 921, and we've got a lot more to see out of that car yet. Contrast and experience on the start line for this competition eliminator final. Robbie Ward in his first season with his front engine dragster up against Trevor Watson, who has won a lot of drag races here at Fram Autolite. And problems in lane 2 for Robbie Ward. You can see it's just rolling forward. So the consistent Trevor Watson supercharged 2-litre Peugeot in that dragster runs another 9 and gives another win for Trevor Watson with a 970, 143 miles an hour. Sport Compact is made up of Japanese import body styles. 2 body styles within the bracket. The Pro Import car, such as this Corey Abbott, a purpose-built race car tube frame, and a more street-style car, Dean Hargraves, which is Sport Modified. Sport Modified, on the other hand, has to retain the original body and chassis. A wild ride for these cars. They are really tapped out short wheelbase.
Me and my brother, we own this car together. We both raced street cars before this. And we decided to step it up a bit, so we'll be building this with the help of Terry's Chassis Shop. 13B, twin rotor turbo, running on alcohol, and a clutchless transmission, 5-speed transmission.
Here is our Sport Compact final. Corey Abbott in the RX-7, Mazim Shalash in the RX-323. Now the Index has a handicapped start. A problem on the start line, and that stumble is going to cost Mazim. And you just see Corey Abbott, he's aiming for a 760 record. He runs nearly there, 788. He's got the win, and he is almost on the record. Look at that, 788, 166 mile an hour. His record, you see there, is a 764.
Super gas is a heads-up start. So, like, you're not waiting for somebody to get halfway down the track before you do it. You start at the same time as the guy next to you. So by the time you pulled second gear and the G-forces are off your body, you get to have a wee look around to see how you are against your component. You don't get to do that with DYO.
Paul Hammond's semi-final was up against a big block Chevy-powered HC Viva of Todd Carter. But it is all Paul Hammond, making it look oh so easy. A bad start for Todd, and you can see Paul Hammond could button off at the finish line and still take victory. In his final, he had problems, however, and you see the winner of the National Series from the 2006-2007 season, Linda Zarodny. But Paul Hammond getting pushed off the start line, and that is oil on the start line, and something has broken in the Chrysler Dart. So a single pass for the 2006-2007 National Champion, Linda Zarodny, gets maximum points at the Fram Autolite Northern Nationals. When we come back, it is top door slammer, top alcohol, and top street action and the Century Yuasa Power Series at the Fram Autolite Northern National. Welcome back to the Century Yuasa Power Series of drag racing.
Big block Ford, 510.
Go well.
Only Ford in the country.
This is what the crowd have come to see. Top door slammer, and despite being eliminated in an earlier race, Team Squig are taking the opportunity to get an exhibition pass on the track, and problem, you can see the wind gets under the bonnet and the Air Force just destroy that carbon fibre bonnet. Boom, and there it goes.
1972 Ferrari Boxer here, blowing alcohol, big block Chev, 3-speed Linko. Basically the tail lights. Yeah. It's really about the only thing genuine about the whole car is the tail lights.
Semi-final action in top door slammer, and we see problems for the Dave and Chad Tully team, and they're having trouble getting the Falcon started. Now Mike Witteveen is in lane 2 in the Ferrari. He had a good season and made some final appearances last season. He's going to make another one with this beautiful pass. Another 7, a 7 with a 7. Mike Witteveen is into another final at 175 miles an hour. Mike's opponent in the final is going to be this man, Mr. Consistency, Bobby Owens, who has a single pass to take his place in the final. So let's go to that final of door slammer. And problems in the Ferrari pit. Again, lane 1 is having trouble getting a car on the racetrack. Bobby Owens has a single pass to win the points in round one, the Fram Autolite Northern Nationals. And he's going to push the car hard, and you can see him jumping around the track. He is not taking it easy. They used to be known as Wild Bunch cars, and that is why a win for Bobby Owens. And as he goes through the finish line, knocking it out of gear and slowing it down, an 8-1, but a win is a win, Bobby.
A bit of a hairy run there.
It looked a bit over the track, mate.
Yeah, I might have to take a bit of clutch out of the thing. Yeah, no, very happy with the day. The car's running perfect. It's me that's getting the things a little bit wrong, but we'll get there.
Fastest car doesn't always win.
Have a bit of luck.
Yeah.
Luck and change parts.
Finals time in Fast Parts Super Street. And we see the difference in body style. Super Street is another dial-your-own bracket where the racer nominates the time they expect their vehicle to do. The handicap is compensating for the differences in horsepower. Now we see Scott Campbell in the Ford Bronco. It is something he drives to work every day. But you can go drag racing in whatever you drive. And Scott Campbell has a dial-in time of 18.1. Now Darryl Robertson, much more horsepower. You probably wouldn't drive this to the dairy, but he is chasing Scott Campbell with a quicker dial-in time of 13.0. Century Batteries Modified is another dial-your-own class. This is the dial-your-own bracket for the competition style of race cars. This pairing sees Scotty Lansborough in the rear-engine dragster up against Ian Metz, Fiat Topolino-bodied Alfa. As with all dial-your-own racing, it's about the driver getting it right and getting it consistent. We see a very close race between Ian Metz and Scotty Lansborough, and down to the finish line stripe, Ian Metz crosses the line first, and he will take the win with an 8.95 at 144 miles an hour. This is how the race cars used to look. This frame was built in 1965 when the engine was in front of the driver. And you can see that number 1 on the side of the car shows that it is still competitive in the brackets of racing today. Paul Sattler is the pilot in the front engine dragster known as the Vindicator. His opponent in this semi-final, the T-Bucket of Brian Hayes. The difference in dial and times will see a big handicap, and Brian Hayes' T-Bucket will be away first. Now you see the Vindicator doing the chasing. And problems for Brian Hayes. His race is over. Paul Sattler just drives right on by, and he will take another win in the front engine dragster. You can see the smoke and oil from Brian Hayes. That Pontiac engine has gone.
It's a buzz, and it's a thrill driving the car like this. I enjoy driving the car, and it gives you a really good ride. The car was built in 1965 in California, and all I've done is restored the car back to its former glory, how it was run in California, and I've upgraded it to fit in today's regulations, but primarily what you see is how it was run in 1965.
It's a 427 Chev and a 1948 Topolino. It's called an altered, so yes, basically just a short rail with a motor in it. There's a place for everybody here. If you're a millionaire, you can go across the other side and race top door slammer, or you can be over here with the peasants.
Century Batteries Modified Final. Ian Metz in the Topolino, Paul Sattler in the front engine dragster. Now that breathing apparatus he is wearing, not only does it look period perfect, it is practical. It is a fireproof breathing apparatus. First car away in this final will be Ian Metz in the altered. Now Paul Sattler is doing the chasing. He will be trying to drag him down. It'll be very close at the finish line if they're on the money, and it is very close. Paul Sattler by the slimmest of margins. Have a look at this. Paul Sattler, Century Batteries Modified Champion. UASA Modified Bike Finals time, and we see both on Suzuki Hayabusas, Bill Hamilton and Dean Veal. Bill Hamilton closest to camera. No traction problems there for Bill Hamilton as he lifts the front wheel, but the opposite for Dean Veal. You can see the smoke. He was just spinning that rear wheel, and it's cost him dearly. It has cost him a lot of time. Bill Hamilton, UASA Modified Bike Champion, takes the win with a 10.79 at 134 miles an hour. Again, wheels up for Bill Hamilton. Top street cars are full-body street cars that are allowed serious chassis mods and engine setback modification.
She's a 70 Plymouth Duster with a 505 Keith Black with B1 Pro Stock heads. We're pulling about 1,000 horsepower, running an 832 at the quickest at the moment at 160 mile an hour. Mate, it's awesome. I wouldn't go as far as saying better than 6, but it comes bloody close. Yeah, when you stick the car in first gear and apply the trans brake, and you've got a preset in the MSD ignition, whatever revs you want to leave at. So I got mine set at 5.6. I stand on the throttle hard and leave on the button.
Sam's qualifying position has given him a bye in the semi-final, and as you can see, he's pushing the Duster as hard as ever and lifting that wheel on the start line, and he will go into that final with a solid pass of an 8:42. Well, have a look at that. Our second semi-final is those two. Friends off the track, but now they are suited up and strapped into their race cars. One of them is sending the other one home on a trailer. Wayne Grimmer is in the Plymouth Barracuda. Roger Binnemer, the defending New Zealand #1, is in that supercharged, Chevy-powered Honda. A big race to start this season because points are on the line, and it is a great wheels-up start for Wayne Grimmer. But Roger Binnemer, you can see he has just stepped off it. He's given the race up because he left early. Red light foul gives Wayne Grimmer a win. But have a look at the ET Wayne Grimmer, 8:27, 1:69.
Love the excitement, the adrenaline. It's just an addictive sport. But the car's running really well now. We're back onto our 8:29 of our first pass off the trailer yesterday, so we're really happy. I think we're #1 qualifier. It's a 1968 Barracuda, but it runs a Ray Barton built from USA 604 cubic inch Hemi. It's putting out 1130 horsepower, normally aspirated. It goes through a 5-speed Liberty manual transmission. We've experimented with this car with the wheels up, wheels down. In actual fact, it's 60 foot faster with the wheels up. So this car just obviously likes the way it reacts, just likes it that way, so we're going to keep it that way. It's still fun. It's funny we don't have a couple more cars in the class, but they'll be here next round. But it's still a buzz, and I still love coming back.
The old foe meet in yet another final. It is Wayne Grimmer in the Plymouth Barracuda and Sam Levine in the Duster. Now, both of these races have raced a number of years. They've raced in all forms of race car. Both campaigned Altereds a few years ago, so they know how to go fast. They're very good drivers. Current record holder Wayne Grimmer is looking to try and get the edge on his old mate, Sam Levine. However, we've just seen Sam Levine wheels up start in his semi-final. He's not going to make it easy for Wayne Grimmer. Where's your money? Too tight to call. Wheels up from both of them. A better start from Sam Levine. He got the jump on Wayne Grimmer. Now has Wayne Grimmer got horsepower to drive around him? If he can run better than an 8:35, he'll get a record. We see the door blow off the side of Sam Levine's car. Again, we see air pressure just take the door right off it. But Wayne Grimmer, have a look at that. 8:31, new national record for an A-top street car. Doors off, wheels up. It is all action in the top street final. Wayne Grimmer takes the points. Castrol Edge Top Alcohol semi-final action, and first on the track is a bye run for the #1 qualifier, the fastest man in the country at the moment, John Nealon in the Digger Dragster. It is a single pass, but you will notice the crew go about their procedure in exactly the same way as if there was a race car alongside them. John Nealon has run 580s all weekend. He has gone fractionally quicker each time, and he does it again, even quicker, a 584 in the semi-final. And look at that mile an hour, 242 miles an hour. Plenty of pressure in the second Castrol Edge Top Alcohol semi-final. They have to get into the final. They have just seen John Nealon set the pace. But first, they've got to beat the guy in the lane alongside them. And those racers with the job to do at the moment is Todd Vincent in the Vincent family dragster and Chris Johnson in the Harcourt's Vernon and Vasey dragster. First of all, they must win their semi-final. They'll be looking at the data they get from this race to see if they can beat John Nealon in the final. Who's it going to be? Chris Johnson or Todd Vincent? It is tight off the line. Chris Johnson with the jump. Chris Johnson has the horsepower. Chris Johnson all the way and into the final of Castrol Edge Top Alcohol. Chris Johnson doing all the right things, chipping away at his ET 608 at 225 miles an hour. Has he got the tune-up to win the final? Let's have a look. Castrol Edge Top Alcohol is the premier division in New Zealand drag racing. It is all about horsepower. It is all about speed. No handicaps, no breakouts. Fastest car wins. First one to the finish line is the champion. You can see the drivers, full concentration on their face as they go about their start line burnout procedures. They know the team has got the best tune-up that they think is going to win this meeting. They can't do anything about it now. They can't change it. They have to focus on their job to do. And here we go as the cars are inching into stage. The very important start, they're away, an equal start reaction time, nothing between them. But it is the horsepower of the Digger Dragster. John Nealon storms away with a new national record. John Nealon, 5.76 seconds, 242 mile an hour.
No, that was a pretty good pass. Good end to a good day. I haven't even seen the time slip yet, but the way everybody's reacting, I've seen something, but I'll figure it out later on. We're happy today, brilliant day.
That completes racing today here at Fram Autolite Dragway, round one of the Century UASA Power Series. Congratulations to all the winners, but clearly the highlight had to be John Nealon. Round two is the QMU Hot Rod and Classic Car Festival meeting at Taupo International Raceway on January 4th. This has been NZRA Drag Racing and the Century UASA Power Series. This is round two of the New Zealand Drag Racing Association Summer Series, the Century UASA Power Series, drag racing at the top level in New Zealand. The best of the country's races turn out at Taupo International Dragway for the Summer Nationals. It's the Century UASA Power Series Summer Nationals. We're here at Taupo International Dragway for the QMU Hot Rod and Classic Car Festival, the Summer Nationals, round two of that Century UASA Power Series. When we got here this morning, the faint-hearted might have wondered whether we'd get through it. But the confident ones, we knew it could happen.
Yeah, and Clement Weather, Manuel cut the qualifying to one round for all, so it was give it your best shot, and well, it was exciting stuff. The big horsepower cars, they really had to drive through this. John Nealon, well, he was still the fastest, but boy did he struggle to put that horsepower down on this track.
Yeah, when you go racing, you have to set your car up to the conditions. It is the same for everybody. The guy alongside you is racing on exactly the same track, on exactly the same day as you.
Hey, Manuel, the crowd's turned up, the weather's come good.
Let's go drag racing. Round one of Door Slammer sees two fresh cars lining up alongside each other. The American-prepared Bickle-built Pontiac GTO of Kevin McGregor and the locally built 69 Camaro of Parry Hunt out of Wellington. Now this is the first competition meeting for Parry Hunt in the big time in the top Door Slammer division. He did his licensed observation passes in this car and it proved strong and straight, so he'll be mildly confident about going to this meeting. How's he going to go? Let's have a look at it. Up against Kevin McGregor in round one of Top Door Slammer. Century UASA Power Series underway. And a good start, but already problems in lane one. Skating around, he hit the wall. Kevin McGregor has hit the wall in the heat treatments. Pontiac. He was skating off the start line. He would have been changing gear. Parry Hunt taking the win, running a 7:30. It's not the win he would have wanted. Problems in lane one. There is Kevin McGregor. The heat treatments car. All sorts of damage to the front of it, all the sheet metal off it. He has hit the wall very, very hard. And you can see there is antifreeze leaking out of the car onto the racetrack. That's what they're going to be cleaning up there now. They want to get it off the racetrack and restore it. And the McGregor family, they will be traumatised by this. That is a big hit. Have a look at it. Straight into the wall, almost at 90 degrees. He was trying to save the car. It got dancing around on the start line in lane one. And early traction problems have proved detrimental.
They're not allowed to put VHT past to where the circuit boys come out. So the track's quite bare. Once you go over half track, you've got a problem. You've got to kind of pedal it or take the power a little bit, do your best to get down the track. Everyone's got the same problem.
Our second pairing sees Wayne Hussey for the first time this season in the Chevy Nova. Alongside him, a win from the opening meeting, Bobby Owens in that 64 Falcon Coupe. Wayne Hussey, you see him dancing around during the burnout there. Now, he has experienced some success at this meeting and he won the final a couple of years ago. So, the nitrous-assisted Nova might have a bit of an advantage here. The perfect start for Bobby Owens. He got the jump on Wayne Hussey. Has he got the legs to take the win? No, Wayne Hussey drives right around him. Have a look at that. The horsepower kicking in at top end. Wayne Hussey running a 770 to Bobby Owens 8-0. A good win for Wayne Hussey in round one. Good points at the start for him. But Bobby Owens, not enough horsepower to get to the win. Our next pairing sees Mike Woodavine in the Ferrari up against Andrew Squig Miles in the STA Falcon. But you can see the crew shutting him down. They've got a problem with the race car, and that is oil leaking out of the engine. It is oil leaking out the engine. They have to shut him down. They can't carry fluid onto the track. They've also got a problem. Where's the oil coming from? Have a look at Mike Witteveen. He made several semi-finals last year. He's into another one after this run, and that is a perfect run from the Ferrari. 780. Hey, high sevens might be enough to win this meeting. Mike Witteveen into the semis. Next up, we see the defending champion from last season. That's Ross Taylor in the 57 Chevy. He has by far got the most horsepower in this division. Alongside him, Dave Tully in the Falcon Door Slammer. And problems off the start line already for Ross Taylor. Spinning the wheels. Is he in the right gear? He has got a lot of ground to catch up. I don't think he's going to catch Dave Tully. He might do. He's close at the finish line. Is it there? No. The win for Dave Tully by the slimmest of margins. Ross Taylor, too little, too late. Alison Taylor, the face says it, right on the line. It was about a coat of paint on the bumper for Dave Tully. Well, early qualifying in Castrol Edge Top Alcohol. Here's the man with the target on his back, effectively the fastest man in the country, John Nealon, and he is having trouble getting down the racetrack. Skating around, Dave Gould has a look at his lane as well. Dave Gould in the Topolino Fair. A pair of Top Alcohol dragsters in this qualifier. We see Chris Johnson, the defending New Zealand #1, and Shane Lodge in the Service Engineers dragster. But the defending champion's got problems. That smoke at the finish line is not the normal sight from the Harcourt's dragster. Round 1 of eliminations, Castrol Edge Top Alcohol. Sees John Nealon with a bye run. By qualifying #1, he earns the right to the first round bye. He's got a lot straighter this time than we saw him in qualifying. Not a bad run, a 6.24. That is Lowy T of the meet for John Nealon. He is into the semi-final round. Our next pairing sees the different body styles of Top Alcohol cars in New Zealand. It is Todd Vincent in the Top Alcohol dragster, and that is Grant Rivers just shoehorning himself into the funny car. Top Alcohol funny car for Grant Rivers from Wanganui. Now, he took a couple of seasons off, used to be painted yellow. You might recognise the car. Grant Rivers from Wanganui in his first competition meeting this season. Todd Vincent, well, he'll be looking to redeem having to go home as runner-up last season. He was one win away from adding another #1 to the side of that race car. The man that's looking to spoil his round 1 at the Summer Nationals is Grant Rivers in the Top Alcohol funny car. As both drivers compose themselves and put themselves in the stage, wheel spin off the start line for Todd Vincent and tyre shake for Grant Rivers. Both race cars having problems getting off the start line. And it's Todd Vincent driving on by Grant Rivers now with problems at the finish line. Engine problems for Grant Rivers. Look at that smoke, unburnt fuel. He has hurt that engine, and that has cost him round 1. The RPM car, the crew just shaking their head a little bit. They were upset with the start line. They will take the win into the semi-final. It did not leave well for the Vincent. The clutch work to do as they go into round 2 semi-final. Our final pair in round 1 of Castrol Edge Top Alcohol, Shane Lodge in the Top Alcohol dragster and Dave Gould in the Kiwi Sheds Fiat Topolino. The short wheelbase car for Dave Gould is always a handful on the racetrack. We saw him in qualifying skating around. Interestingly enough, Pete Lodge, father of Shane Lodge, the driver of the dragster, still holds a New Zealand national record for a fuel altered in a Topolino Fiat. You might remember Barloo. Shane Lodge, Dave Gould, round 1 of Castrol Edge Top Alcohol, and a beautiful start from Shane Lodge. He has got a handle on that start line, skating around a little bit. It will not be of too much concern. Dave Gould, well, he goes this time to the right of the track, but an easy win and a 7.20 for Shane Lodge. A good win in the second quickest time in round 1. Shane Lodge is into the semi-finals. Drag racing is all about making power. And you've got to make that power at the track you're at, then you've got to get it on the track and get the race car to the finish line first.
Humidity is the killer of oxygen. Humidity is the percentage of moisture in the air. The Americans count it in grains, probably 1,000 grains to an ounce of water. But and what happens, the humidity actually displaces the oxygen. And so that means we've got to pull the fuel out. In other words, no use putting a big log of wood on a little fire, because you know what's going to happen in terms of smoke, and you don't make power. What we want is that big bright flame, and that'll give us power.
We're sitting at 1,500 feet, and then you've got the day. It's going to be fun to try and make some horsepower today. We've got the humidity to deal with, the thin air. It's all going to make a difference. It's the old story, the fastest man does not necessarily win. This is drag racing. Any number of factors, like basically if we lose it on the line, we can't catch them, they beat us. It's the same scenario. Something small goes wrong, it can take out the big cars. We've always had a saying, the giants are the easiest ones to take out.
Definitely not all about who's got the fastest car, especially with our tracks. It's like Taupo, Masterton. They've got awesome start lines for the first about 200 feet of track, where it's all VHE, it's super sticky. You get off that, you start black tracking and skidding the tyres a little bit. those who make the most power tend to overpower the track a bit easier, so their tune-ups are a little bit more finicky than those with a little bit less power, who are a bit more consistent. And days like today, the days where the guys with the smaller engines, not as much power, can come through with the win and do the big upsets.
The altitude does affect the blown cars a lot. There's a lack of good air, but I run a hell of a lot of nitrous. I'm running 700 horsepower of nitrous through it now. They call it altitude in a bottle, really. So it doesn't affect us half as much. That's why you see likes Dave West and me do a lot better here than at some other tracks perhaps. As soon as you get out on the start line, the nerves go away and it's all adrenaline.
Sadly for Wayne Hussey, engine problems will not see him show up in round number 2. Century Batteries Modified, finals time. Modified division is a DYO bracket for competition race cars, where the drivers nominate the time they expect their car to do, and a handicap start sees the horsepower meet them at the finish line. Those more consistent will be the winner on the day. Defending 3 times national champion Andy Chapman up against the Topolino of Ian Metz. Andy Chapman with a good start there. He's the quicker car, and it is all Andy Chapman. Ian Metz doesn't have an answer for Andy Chapman. That's why he's 3-time New Zealand number 1. Andy Chapman dialed the car in at 890, ran an 890. Ian Metz dialed the car at 885, he ran a 9.1. That is just too far away from that dial in time. He handed the win to Andy Chapman. Sport Compact finals time. Sport Compact is the division made up of Japanese imported body styles. Japanese engines, Japanese technologies. 4, 6 and rotary powered race cars make up the Sport Compact division. The Heat Treatment's Skyline GTR against David Stock and the Mitsubishi Evo. Problems already today for the Heat Treatments team. Reece McGregor, can he redeem it for the Heat Treatments team? And he has got problems on the start line. He's out of it. David Stock has had troubles all day. He's got himself into the final. He gets it right in the final and he runs a 9-0 winning time. His first national win for the Andre Simons built Mitsubishi. And now the Heat Treatments cars get moving. You just saw he could not get that car off the start line. That was all David Stock needed. VHT products bring us Super Sedan and finals time in Super Sedan. Super Sedan, a lot like Modified, is a dial-your-own bracket. Super Sedan, however, is for full-bodied race cars where the driver would sit in the normal position as opposed to a competition car where they sit in the centre. Super Sedan, the Chevy Vega of Pete Mio up against the supercharged big block Chevy Holden Ute of Dean Scott. Now Pete Mio, qualified number 1, he is the quickest car in the field. The handicap on the start, by virtue of the dial-in, makes it look like Pete Mio's had a bad start. But here's the quicker car. He's going to drive around Dean Scott. He has the horsepower. He takes the win. Pete Mio, champion again in Super Sedan. This is the Century UASA Power Series of drag racing. Welcome back to the Century UASA Power Series Summer Nationals, and this is New Zealand's Flying Kiwi. Athel Williams is showing his support of Taupo International Dragway with some exhibition passes here today on his Top Fuel drag bike. Top Fuel drag bikes, they run nitromethane in the fuel tank. That is a Top Fuel race car on a bike shell. Athel Williams, looking to set a new Top Fuel record, a record that's been around for about 20 or 30 years now, owned by Ray Peterson. He is clearly the fastest man in New Zealand. He has been competing in the Top Fuel drag bike across the Tasman. That's why we haven't seen a lot of Athel last season. If you think 6 seconds is fast in the car, imagine 6 seconds on this missile. New Zealand's Flying Kiwi.
Hi, my name's Athel Williams. I've been racing in Australia for the last 2.5 years and am known as the Flying Kiwi in Australia. We own most of the track records in Australia. We became the 4th fastest bike in the world and the fastest outside of the USA in Sydney when we ran 616 at 238 mile an hour. That's 384 k's an hour or 107 metres per second. We own the ET record in New Zealand at 7.62. We've run 6.16 in Australia, so that's 1.5 seconds quicker. We don't own the mile an hour record in New Zealand, that's why we're here. That's at 166 and we've run 238 in Australia. The bike actually was a special purpose built drag bike in UK. We make our own engine. That's crankshafts, crankcases, barrels, all the primary drives, auxiliary drives, and and it's a Vance and Hines head. That's an American head, so it's not a Mr. Suzuki or Mr. Kawasaki or Mr. Yamaha. It is a New Zealand built engine, not assembled, built. It's a high helix screw blower. We'll leave the same amount of fuel going in and just speed that up to compensate for the lack of air. 1550 cc's, about 1500 horsepower, and we use 25 litres of nitromethane per run. We run about 93% nitro. All the other cars here today will either be running petrol or methanol. Adrenaline's one of the most powerful drugs out there, and I'm on a high for 2 days after a meeting.
Athol Williams said he came here to reset the New Zealand top fuel bike record. Let's have a look at the run. The Flying Kiwi, Athol Williams. Straight as a die, he's done it. He's done it, a new national record. 6.68 seconds at 202 miles an hour. 202, that's about 325 Ks. Athol Williams, the fastest top fuel drag bike racer in the land. Competition bike finals time, and it sees factory horsepower side by side. That's Dean Veal on the Suzuki Hayabusa up against Chris Scavies on the V-Rod Harley. Chris Scavies will be first bike away by virtue of a handicap start, but he has left too soon in a red light foul. He left before the green light came on, gave an automatic win. Dean Veal doesn't need it, he drives on by, and he will take the win, the defending New Zealand number one, with an 8.69 at 155 mile an hour. Fast Parts Super Street Final. Now, Super Street is another dial your own bracket where you can bring the car you drive to the racetrack and go racing. You nominate the time you expect your car to do, so it's not all about raw horsepower. It is down to driver ability. It is Gary Ellis in the Holden Premier in lane 1 and Steve Patterson in the Toyota Corolla wagon in lane 2. The big start is the dial-in handicap for Steve Patterson. Now, Gary Ellis with more horsepower will be quicker over the quarter mile, but can he get to the quarter mile quicker than Steve Patterson? Not at all. Steve Patterson more consistent. He dialed in a 15.1, he ran a 15.1. On the money for Dial Your Own Racing, a win for Steve Patterson. Top Street semi-final time now, and we see the matchup that was our final in the opening round of the Century Yuasa Power Series. It is the two Plymouths. It is the Plymouth Duster of Sam Levine and the Plymouth Cuda of Wayne Grimmer. Both cars are A Top Street cars, so they are both racing against the same national record. So effectively a heads-up start. Full-bodied race cars, full horsepower race cars. Top Street, exciting wheels-up start from Wayne Grimmer and Sam Levine. But going up doesn't get you to the finish line quicker. Sam Levine with a slightly better advantage off the start. There's going to go the horsepower for Wayne Grimmer, and he just gets there, a tenth of a second for Wayne Grimmer over Sam Levine. Wayne Grimmer wins the semi-final with an 8.64 to an 8.70. Hundreds of a second between them at the finish line stripe. Second semi-final in Top Street sees defending New Zealand number one Roger Binnimer up against Jeff Dobson, a new entry to the Top Street level, and he has made his presence felt today. Roger Binnimer currently holds the national record in the Double C Top Street record. Jeff Dobson, on the other hand, has gone quicker today than the current A Top Street record holder, Wayne Grimmer. And as you can see from that start, Jeff Dobson is on a mission, and he is just going to make life a misery for Roger Binnimer. It is all Jeff Dobson. He led from start to finish. He got a good start, and Roger Binnimer did not have an answer for Dobbo. 8.44 at 163. That is quicker than Wayne Grimmer has gone in his semi-final. Top Street finals time, and Wayne Grimmer will be well aware he's going to have to find some horsepower if he wants to beat Jeff Dobson. Wayne Grimmer in the Plymouth Cuda, Jeff Dobson in the Chevy Camaro. A good start is going to be paramount for both races, and a red light. Wayne Grimmer, fractionally too soon. He knew he had to get a good start on Jeff Dobson, but he doesn't know it. He's keeping his foot in it, and Jeff Dobson on the line pips him. Right on the stripe, Jeff Dobson gets it at both ends of the racetrack. Jeff Dobson with an 8.4 beating Wayne Grimmer's 8.6. Semi-final time in Top Door Slammer, and our first semi-final has Wayne Hussey in the Nova with a no-show up against Dave Tully Falcon, who too has problems.
The starter motor failed.
The significance of the win in our second semi-final has just got more important. Mike Woodavine in the Ferrari up against Perry Hunt in his first semi-final of the season in the 69 Camaro. With nobody contesting the first semi-final, it means the winner of this race will have a single path to win the Summer Nationals in round 2 of the Century Yuasa Power Series. Mike Woodavine in another semi-final up against the new boy in the bracket, Perry Hunt. Has Perry Hunt got enough in his first meeting? Has Mike Woodavine got the win to get into that final? Mike Woodavine, the Ferrari, looked good in the semi-finals, but Perry Hunt making horsepower to burn, and he drives away from Mike Woodavine, taking Perry Hunt to a 7:27 final at 202 miles an hour. An example of a professional race team for Perry Hunt and the crew. They have wound the wick up on this car all day. It has gone straight and strong. They are in that final. Perry Hunt has been around drag racing quite a while now. He campaigned a very serious street car a few years ago before he took up crew chief duties for Graham Alexander. He debuted this car at the Northern Nationals and ran off the back of the field and completed his licence observation passes in a Group 1 car with a new driver's licence, new combination of race car. It has proved itself today. It has done everything right and has set low ET of the bracket. He is in the final. It is a single pass, and whilst most drag racers say they always race against themselves and the clock, they do like to have an opponent in the lane alongside him. Perry Hunt, he's not taking it easy though. He's going to go an even quicker time in the final. He runs a 7.0 at 205 miles an hour. Good effort.
We detune the motor, obviously not going to go into details, but we detune the motor and detune the clutch, but it's a lot on the suspension. We obviously work with the suspension just to try and get things sorted so we could lay the best possible print we could get down, and we got lucky. We went the right way. We could have gone either way. Today we've just learned a power of information, and it's only going to make us stronger and better.
Semi-final time in Castrol Edge Top Alcohol, and our first car on the racetrack is Shane Lodge in the Service Engineers Dragster. He has a single pass. By qualifying number 2, he earns the second bye. So he will have a single pass to get himself into that final. Shane Lodge, he's certainly got the combination right in the earlier rounds, and he's got it right again this time. Shane Lodge, as straight as any dragster has gone on this track today, he's got the tune-up and the traction correct. 670 from Shane. Who's he going to meet in that final?
Conditions, especially like today with the humidity and especially altitude, dropping and rising all over the place. In the last about 40 minutes, we've measured the air drop about 700 feet, which means we can make a hell of a lot more power, but hopefully to equal up the conditions, kind of hoping the track either is not so sticky or the air plays a little bit fiddly, so maybe John possibly can't get the tune up exactly spot on. We can make it a little bit more even, hopefully get the win.
Second semi-final seeds the current record holder John Nealon in the Digger Dragster up against the youngest top alcohol racer in the land, Todd Vincent. Both cars moving into stage. Todd Vincent looking to topple the king of the bracket at the moment, and he has problems off the star line, rattles the tyres and shakes it, but bigger problems for Nealon, bang from the engine, and Todd Vincent gets back on it and drives on by for the win. Todd Vincent taking a win off Nealon.
207 miles an hour, 740, you see a break behind on that 07 miles.
From this shot here, we see bang from John Nealon's engine. Todd Vincent never giving up despite the bad start. He takes the win, and we'll meet Shane Lodge.
We had no traction, we had too much power, and that was the end of the story. I mean, we were just going straight up in tyre smoke, so we've now just backed it up, and it seems to be coming right. So what we've been doing, every change we've made, we've gone faster, so we're on the right track, obviously.
Finals time in Castrol Edge Top Alcohol, and Shane Lodge has taken the right-hand lane. He had lane choice with the quicker semi-final pass. Todd Vincent in the RPM Engineering Dragster in lane number 1. One of these racers is about 6.5 seconds away from victory. Shane Lodge, Todd Vincent rattling the tyres very, very hard, and I think he's hurt the engine. Todd Vincent out of the race. It is all Shane Lodge. The butterflies closed with the second fastest run of the day, 650 at 207 miles an hour. It's all about getting the horsepower down the racetrack, and Shane Lodge and the crew got it right.
I was looking out the corner of my eye from the 1,000-foot mark thinking, I can't see that blue car, I can't see it. So it was all good. Case of attrition today, I think, at the end of the day. And, you know, we everything that we did made the car go faster, and at the end of the day, we were there to pick up the pieces and take home the first prize. So, yeah, we're pretty happy about it.
The only one thing that is certain in drag racing is there's nothing certain in drag racing.
Yes, you'd have to say their first round was an absolute disaster, damaging the car just about, well, I thought beyond repair. They've come back here this weekend to the second round as winners in the top division. Harry Hunt, another one, ran off the back of the field just as test and tune. Again, come back and top door slammer as a winner at over 200 miles an hour.
The excitement continues as the action moves south to Ruapuna for round 3 of the drag racing series. It'll be wheels up action as drivers push the gear to the limit in their quest for speed and victory at the Century Yuasa Power Series.
From the quarter-mile action on the drag strip, it's off now to the fantastic gravel roads of the South Island for the 2007 Rally Xtreme Series and round 1 from Otago, round 2 from Canterbury and round 3 Southland.
The roads around Dunedin were busier than usual a few weekends ago when they played host to not only the first round of the South Island Rally Xtreme Series, but also round 1 of the Mainland Series, the Classic Rally, and not forgetting the Vantage Aluminium National Rally Championships as well. Cars of all shapes and sizes descended on the deep valleys and blind brows of the amazing Deep South Rally roads. Seated first on the road for the Rally Xtreme cars was Mike Turfus. Turf to his mates is a man that has seen the good and the bad of this rally before. The good in results, but unfortunately the bad in race-ending crashes. Behind them, the Ross family, Regan and Nigel from Kaikoura. They were driving their Subway-sponsored car they had debuted last season with spectacular effect. To put it mildly, they were blitzing the field. Seated third on the road, Jeff Judd, who we ride with here.
To 3 right, to a 4 left minus opens, into a 5 left minus opens, to a short 4 right plus, into a 4 left closing narrow, to a concrete 4 to a 2 left, sorry, I'm behind you, to a 50, to a 3, long 3 right, don't cut, into a 3 left injunction, don't cut.
Juddy and his team had prepared the Subaru well.
To crest, 30 to a 4 right closing 3 over small crest, to kinks 150, to crest to a narrow 3 left closing to 150, 3 left closing to 150, here it is, watch that rock, to a 150 to a 2 right, 2 right.
Fourth seat on the road in their Mitsubishi Evo 6.5 was Greg Teese from Nelson, along with Lisa Hudson calling the notes. Another one whose debut in the class had been mostly hot, with some cold mixed in last season. John Giltrap and Paul Miller were lucky to be there at all. A car-destroying crash at Autosport last season, nearly sounding the death knell to any future campaigns. They were back and going quick. Seated sixth on the road was Eastern Southland Club champion Kevin Laird. It was a step up for him and his Mitsubishi. Concentrating on the Mainland Series, he was here to race hard, but also to learn. Next came Kieran Hall. Further down the on-road start order, the roads were virtually devoid of loose gravel when the Mitsubishi came charging through. It was the second year in Rally Xtreme 2 for David G and Joel Clement in their Subaru. They were seated 8th. Seated ninth was Christchurch's Matt Jensen and Steve Pedersen. Their Otago rally would be a shocker, a big off in 2 effectively ruining their day. They would be back after 4, and we'll have more of that later, but more importantly, record no points. A stray rock doing the damage. We knew from last year that the Berries, Ryan and Robert, were fast, especially at Timaru, but here proved no different. They had their Mitsubishi seated 10th on the road at the start. 130 kilometres of special stages is hard on a modern rally car, and by that we mean four-wheel drive. But spare a thought for these guys. Cam Moore and his Magan Turbo warehouse-sponsored two-wheel drive Levin seated best of the two-wheel drive partners. We should call it the Toyota class, because they were the quickest of the bunch, none quicker than Marcus van Klink in his AE86. Following in the dust on the now dry roads after rain and snow the day before were Paul and Taylor Jansen and yet another Subaru WRX. The second of the load lift cars, they would fare better than their siblings, finally finishing 11th overall. Last seated car on the road was the number 121 Patterson Pitt sponsored Mitsubishi of Mike Hoskin and Nick Jenner. Looking very quick here, they could go on to the finish and claim 8th place overall in Rally Xtreme. If the drivers were having dramas, then spare a thought for the organisers. In circumstances out of their control, stage 4, the longest of the rally, had to be cancelled, and so it was off to service.
We just thought I came a bit fast into a 4 left over a bridge and had a rock on the outside and broke a drive shaft and did some bodywork damage just to keep the crew entertained, you know. We're going to try and get it back in. We'll just have to go see the scrutineers and that to make sure that we can do it.
Today's been pretty good, but slippery out there in places, but no, we just sort of started steady and the time seemed to be there, so that's good. Yeah, we had about 20 seconds up before 5, so we're presuming like that, but yeah, the long stage being cancelled sort of cuts a bit of the mileage out of it, so yeah, no, looking forward to the next one. Looks a bit of rain down that way, so be a bit interesting. Just running with the Silverstones, we've been running all day. They've been working really well, so no, we'll just keep on with what we know, really.
Jeff Judd was now up to second. With just the publicity to go, it was looking good.
Pretty happy. It's a real good contest in the middle there. Regan's absolutely torching us all, but there's a good battle between Turf and myself, and I think some of the other guys. Kieran Hall's pretty close behind as well, so it's good competition. We've done the gearbox and put a different front limited slip in and some modifications to suspension, so I'm probably just coming to grips with it a wee bit, but I'm happy. I just can't keep up with Regan.
The traditional finish to the Otago Rally, the no-holds-barred blast around the downtown waterfront. It's a chance for the drivers to reward the fans and have some fun. Probably having more fun than most, Regan and Nigel Ross. They had, in the words of second place Jeff Judd, torched the rest of the field. Quickest in all of the now 7 stages, bar the publicity, it had been a dominant performance. Whatever happens in the coming months, we will crown a new mainland and Rally Xtreme champion. The man that holds both titles, Derek Asen, was racing, but in the classic class in his Nissan-powered Escort. It might be a shade early, but you'll still get very good odds on the Rosses from Kaikoura to take the title. Round 2 of the South Island Rally Xtreme Series and Round 1 of the Mainland Rally Series were held in and around Rangiora as part of the Canary Furniture Star Canterbury Rally. With the rain during the week, there was some concerns about the surface, but race day dawned cold but fine. The roads were, for the most part, dry. Seated number 1 on the road were Round 1 Rally Xtreme winners Regan and Nigel Ross in their Mitsubishi. The Kaikoura pairing had blitzed the field in Otago and had started well here as well. In the back of their minds, the memories of last year when they crashed out while leading on the last stage. Second seed was another young gun of the South Island scene, Brad Harris. Harris and co-driver David Calder in the Mitsubishi Evo 1, one of the oldest cars in the field, had not competed in Otago and had chosen the well-known rally roads around Ashley Forest to make their Rally Xtreme debut. A man who knows these roads better than most is John Silcock. A Rally Xtreme frontrunner and past Mainland Series champion, Silcock, along with co-driver Richard Atkinson, had started well, never out of the top 4 stage times for their morning's work. Rangiora resident and another ex-Mainland Series champion, Les Summerfield, was next. The Castrol Edge Subaru starting cautiously in stage 1, posting times just outside the top 5. Like Silcock, Summerfield is a previous rally winner here and knows the Ashley Forest roads well. Paul Nicol from Nelson won the first Rally Xtreme title. That was back in 2005. A shocking 2006 meant only better things for the Nelson real estate agent. Plagued with mechanicals at last year's rally, this would be different. He had his ex-Jeff Argyle Asia Pacific Mitsubishi flying in the early going. Driving the ex-Paul Nicol Championship winning car from 2005 was Blair Logan from Ashburton, going well in the morning stages. The 9-stage rally would repeat the first 4 stages again in the afternoon. Unfortunately, that would be the undoing of Logan. The slippery conditions in the morning stages were taking their toll, and tyre choice, if you had them, was critical. It wasn't the roads that stopped Kieran Hall's charge in his ex-Ian Easton Evo 5. It was a drive shaft in Special Stage 5. Another young gun from Nelson was Greg Teese, driving one of the notorious Owens Brothers cars, a Mitsubishi Evo 6.5. He had changed co-drivers since Otago. Out for this one was Lisa Hudson. In was past Group N national champion Rocky. His knowledge of the local roads coming to nothing when drive shaft problems caused them to withdraw in Special Stage 5, while they were coming second overall. John Giltrap knows and now respects the roads of Ashley Forest. It was here last year that he and co-driver Paul Miller were to step out unhurt after a car-destroying crash on the Mount Grey Road. No such problems this year. David G and Janelle Clement were next on the road in their 1995 Subaru Impreza. The Marlborough Carpenter had been getting better and better over the seasons, and 6th quickest in Stage 1 Dog Kennel Corner, a great early start. It would all come to nothing though, radiator problems putting them out in Special Stage 2. The Blenheim pairing of Ryan and Rob Berry were next on the Xtreme seedings, but because of the 56-strong entry field, would start 17th on the road. Good starting spot considering the conditions. The Berries, who we ride with here, had a great start to the Canary Furniture Star Canterbury Rally. 4th quickest in 1, 4th again in 2, and can you believe it, 4th again in 3, and 5th in 4. Sixth in the Rally Xtreme Series after round 1 in Otago, things were looking good for the Blenheim pairing. Another combination that knew the roads well in Rangiora, their morning's result proving that. They lay 5th overall at the rally midpoint. Timaru resident and a rally organiser himself, Paul Dixon, was next in his Spates Alehouse Mitsubishi Evo 3. now with co-driver Andre Beattie, who had called the shots for Greg Teese last year. Their morning's work would see them knocking on the door of the top 10 by the mid-stage. Matt Jansen, who we ride with here in his load lift sponsored Subaru, had the embarrassment of being the first casualty during round 1 of Rally Xtreme, the Otago Rally. A rock putting paid to his day on special stage 2. The car, a Possum-born motorsport shell assembled by Matt's own company, Jansen Motorsport, is built to Group N specs, which meant that he and co-driver Taylor Jensen, they're a little down on power compared to some of the top Group A cars. And while their stage times were about 30 to 40 seconds adrift of the scorching times of the Rosses, they were still firmly inside the top 10 at lunch. Seated 19th in the Canary Furniture Star Rally was yet another Mitsubishi pilot, Paul Bugler, in his Mitsubishi Evo 1 RS. Hailing from Blenheim, Paul and co-driver Phil Morton had their Neil Allport-built ex-Rhys Jones and Dave Thexton car humming before a crash, and 6 ended their day. Starting behind them on the road, seated 21st, was Richard Bateman and Cherise Smith in their Subaru Impreza. Yet another combination coming from Blenheim. More known for its wine than its rally drivers until recently, the Impreza was doing enough to be 9th at lunch. First seat of the two-wheel drive cars in Rally Xtreme here in Canterbury was class leader Marcus van Klink in his Toyota Truno. After a fine win in Otago, it looked like more of the same here until stage 6 mechanical gremlins ended his day. With Klink gone, this left the way clear for arch-rival Cameron Moore from Christchurch in his Mag and Turbo warehouse-sponsored Toyota Levin. Whilst he couldn't match the pace of Van Klink in the morning stages, good things comes to those that wait, or bad things happen to your rivals, in the case of Van Klink. Paul Jansen had flown the family flag in Otago after brother Matt went out in round 2. Seated well down the order, the second load lift car wasn't able to repeat the dose again here in Canterbury. They would finish 9th in Rally Xtreme. A fantastic drive in Otago meant nothing here in Canterbury for Kieran Hall.
On the start line, just went big bang as we took off, and went a little bit further into the stage, and it was like clutch slip. So I think we've done a rear axle, hopefully, possibly a rear diff. There's a wee bit of oil around it, but puts an end to our day. We're going good, and that's the way motorsport goes. The rumour was we were tied for 3rd going into that last stage, into stage 5 there, and we were just starting to come on. We'd had trouble during the day with anti-lag. And the throttle sticking on, so we lost a bit of time in the stage 4 and stage 3, so yeah, those are the way things go, and we're just coming back on song and pushing on, and that happened.
Leading the rally at lunch, just the done in Otago, Regan Ross.
It's a good roads out there, pretty unpredictable. With the rain leading up this week, and some stages being muddy and the others extremely dry and hard on tyres. Another 3 stages, but yeah, we're not under a whole heap of pressure, but we still just want to keep the jandle down and keep it moving along. The bread's always strong here, and yeah, we're just hoping to have a good clean run this afternoon.
Fastest in 3 and 4, Brad Harris was storming and in 2nd place.
Been pressing pretty hard in the last couple of stages, so it's good to be moving up the leaderboard a bit. I've got a good crew and the car's going all right, so hopefully it'll hold together and we'll make it to the finish, yeah.
Paul Nicol was another pushing for a top spot and getting used to his new car.
We've got a few changes to the car now and got a new co-driver, so getting used to the motor in the box is the biggest thing, because we're going to the 36mm restrictor now, so we've got a bit more power. Might be a bit of good luck in there. I see there's a couple of guys that actually unfortunately didn't finish those last stages, so moved up the pecking order a wee bit, but we've still got to finish that. We've got 3 to go.
The afternoon stages were repeats of the morning's work, including the infamous Mount Grey Road. The Canary Furniture Star Canterbury Rally was set for a banner finish. There's an old adage in motorsport that says to finish first you have to finish, something Marcus Van Klink couldn't do. This left the two-wheel drive title to Christchurch's Cameron Moore and co-driver Chris Nichols in their Toyota. Their win here and second in Otago's round 1 meant the South Island Rally Xtreme Series points lead. A hydraulic fluid loss cost Paul Nicol after service, and it started a trend that continued. Blair Logan was next, rolling out of a top spot in Special Stage 8, the second longest of the rally at 22.2 kilometres. Not a retirement, but no longer a factor after losing 20 minutes in Stage 6 was John Giltrap and Paul Miller and their sweet-sounding Subaru. After their troubles in 6th, they dropped from fighting for the lead to nowhere, eventually finishing 10th in Rally Xtreme and 23rd overall. Ninth in Xtreme went to Paul and Taylor Jansen in the car brother Matt drove last year. Two good results in the first 2 rounds of Rally Xtreme, a good reward for the Christchurch pairing. 8th place, another good result for Timaru's Paul Dickinson and Auckland's Andre Beattie in their Spates Alehouse Mitsubishi. A trouble-free run too for Richard Bateman and Cherise Smith. They had battled hard with Matt Jensen all day long, only to finish 5 seconds adrift by the end of the rally. Matt Jensen and Taylor Jensen, who we ride with here, had their Group N spec Possum-born. He garnered good Rally Xtreme points after the debacle of Otago and valuable Mainland Series points as well. It is these 2 series as well as brilliantly run local rallies that have the sport in such good heart. Good organised. Round 3 of the South Island Rally Xtreme Challenge was the always tough Ascot Park Rally of Southland. The weather in the deep south had taken a turn for the worst in the days leading up to the rally, with heavy dumps of snow and consistent rain. It was these conditions and an incident in Special Stage 2 that saw the rally shortened from the scheduled 9 stages to 6. With more snow on the way, the decision to cancel stages 3, 4 and 5, the right one for organisers. Reagan and Nigel Ross were seeded number 1, and for good reason. They won Stage 1, and when racing resumed, won 6, 7 and 8 as well. Seeded number 2 on the road was the Hankook Mitsubishi Lancer of Brad Harris and Dave Calder. Second overall in Canterbury, that now just a distant memory. An incident in Special Stage 2 ending their rally. And John Silcock went out on 1 with turbo trouble. Next in line was Jeff Judd and Marty Stevenson. Not able to match the pace of the Rosses, for Jeff and Marty, it was about playing catch-up again in their Subaru. The Hardy venture outside to wait and watch the action, and with problems in 2, it meant the wait got longer.
Well, it's been extremely slippery out there. Basically, just trying to keep it in the middle of the road. It's as soon as you go offline, it's all over the show. So we managed to make it through on that last stage, and there's been a wee bit of a hold up here, but I'm sure we'll get underway very shortly.
Can you explain to us what's happened here?
It sounds like the Zero car was still on the finish line, and another car, one of the competitors, has gone up the rear end of it, unfortunately. So we're on a bit of a hold up.
We're not running pace notes, so found it pretty hard. Some of the corners they got a bit greasy on the outskirts, but hey, just intend to foot it and keep going through.
And with a few stages possibly cancelled, how's that going to change your game plan?
Yeah, our aim was just to get to the end. It still is, but just see what the roads are like. If they're good and packed like what we're going on to now, we might push a little bit harder, but just get to the end and get it finished today, I think.
I put some mud tyres on for the first 2 stages, knowing Headley Hills would be slippery. There was a little bit of snow on the next stage in Dunsdale, but they probably weren't the ideal tyres, so who knows for the next 3 or 4 stages are cancelled, I believe, because of snow. So the ones after that, I'm not sure if there's snow in there or not, so we've got to take a punt again. We've just got to go as hard as we can. Regan's so fast, and he beat us by 12 in the first stage, so we've got to try and stay in touch and see what we can do on the track, maybe.
We've opted for the Silverstone mud tyres, which are very effective in these conditions. We counted a little bit of snow on the stages. The next one's apparently been cancelled, but there could be a bit more snow around, but the tyres are working very well. I'm taking it pretty easy, very, very tricky conditions. Yeah, just ticking away and not trying too hard.
Not trying too hard was either the understatement of the rally or an ominous warning to their competitors. The Rosses picked up where they left off, winning stages 6, 7 and 8 before finishing second to Jeff Judd on the publicity stage at Teretonga. The brothers from Kaikoura completely dominated the rally, their winning margin 2 minutes and 7 seconds. They now hold a commanding lead in the South Island Rally Xtreme Challenge and have guaranteed themselves a finals berth. Jeff Judd had missed the second South Island round of Rally Xtreme when he was on co-driver duties for Andrew Hawkswood in the Argentinian WRC round. And here in Southland was his chance to get his campaign back on track. From stage 1, Pebbly Hills, where he was beaten by the Rosses by 12 seconds, the die had been cast. Beaten by Kieran Hall in 7 and 10th in 8th meant a battle all the way to the finish to secure second. By being fastest in the blast around Teretonga, Jeff Judd and Marty Stevenson secured second by just 6 seconds. Greg Teese and Rocky Hudson were also looking to get their campaign on track after leaving Canterbury on stage 4. Third and fourth best times from the assess stage 2 right through to the finish at Teretonga, where they were rewarded with third quickest again, meant a 4th overall in Xtreme for the Nelsonian. Kieran Hall is another youngster in a hurry from the top of the South Island. The Nelsonian in the ex-Ian Easton Evo 5 was involved in a battle with Jeff Judd for the whole of the shortened Ascot Park Rally of Southland. After more deep snow in stage 8, Pine Bush at 31 kilometres, the longest of the rally, and a stage that meant problems for Judd, Hall now lay just 2 seconds behind with 1 to go, the publicity at Teretonga. Third overall gives Hall third equal in the South Island Challenge with Ryan Berry. Rangiора's Les Summerfield was seated 7th on the road here in Southland. With only 20 points beside his name after a 4th in his home rally, the Autosport, round 2 of the South Island Challenge, the Castrol-led Subaru pilot needed points here in Southland to clinch a spot in the finals. The car had number 7 on its doors and 7th overall, but 5th in Rally Xtreme was where the past mainland champion, along with co-driver Matthew King, would finish. Ryan and Rob Berry were seated 10th and had a great rally going in their Mitsubishi Evo 6. That was until the Blenheim pair struck major mechanical problems. On the final publicity stage, an 11-kilometre blast around Teretonga Raceway, the problems got worse. They lost nearly 5 minutes and plummeted down the field as a result. 11th in Rally Xtreme. With the top 3 here all but certain of making the final in the Rally Xtreme Challenge Series, there were possibly 6 or 7 cars that, depending on their results here in Southland, were still in contention. Among them, the 13th seed, David G and Janelle Clement, involved in a titanic 3-car battle with Sean McMillan and Paul Bugler. They would eventually finish 6th. Car number 18 was the Batterytown Mitsubishi of Paul Bugler and Phil Morton. Yes, another combination from the top of the South Island. The ex-David Thexton, Neil Allport built Evo 1 lost valuable time to G in 8, and after finishing close but always behind them in the other 5 stages, eventually bested them in 9, the publicity. 5 minutes 27 to 5 minutes 34. All that and they still finish 1 position behind them, 7th overall. Matt Jensen and Steve Pedersen were seated 19th in the Ascot Park Rally of Southland. This car, a possum-born body shell assembled by Matt and his team at Jensen Motorsport, had been good to the combination. After the low of a DNF in Otago and then 9th at round 2 in Canterbury, another top 10 performance here in Southland, a great result for the load lift team. The Ascot Park Rally of Southland has a deserved reputation, normally run in cold, wet and yes, even sometimes snowy conditions. It has in the past been a graveyard to national, regional and club level competitors. Again this year, Southland was a round of not only the Rally Xtreme Challenge, but round 2 of the Mag & Turbo Mainland Series, and also round 2 of the Laird Motorsport Southern Rally Series. And as you can see, a lot to drive for. No wonder the sport is in such good heart down these parts. The combination of Aucklander Andre Beattie and Timaru's Paul Dixon seemed to have gelled in the Ascot Park Rally of Southland. 8th in Canterbury and 8th again here for the Spates Alehouse Mitsubishi Evo 3. And 8th meant 16 valuable points, despite this little miscue at Tiratonga. The top 10 finish here, keeping their quest for the finals alive. After what was meant to be 159 kilometres of special stages, somewhat modified by the weather and other problems, the gap separating 8th and 9th place in Rally Xtreme was just 5 seconds. And if Richard Bateman hadn't had problems in the snow-covered 8th stage, it might have been even closer. The Subaru had the last laugh by beating Dixon in the publicity, but the damage had already been done. That meant Richard Bateman was 9th overall in Southland. There was only one two-wheel drive car registered for Rally Xtreme in Southland. With Cameron Moore not competing, the pressure was off Marcus van Klink. If the pressure was off or not, it didn't stop Van Klink from almost throwing the rally away, and he struck problems in the snow of Special Stage 8, the longest of the rally. He lost over 20 minutes, and he was another to tumble down the order, but importantly, he still made it to the publicity and the finish. The final Rally Xtreme Challenge finisher was car 52, Mitsubishi Evo of Mike Hoskin and Carson Reed. They finished the Ascot Park Rally of Southland in 26th overall and 11th overall in Rally Xtreme. But as you've seen by our condition and judging by the conditions, to finish in itself was a victory. Well, if you have a look at the overall results, it is the Rosses making a clean sweep of Rally Xtreme in the South Island from Jeff Judd and Marty Stevenson. Third place, Kieran Hall and Peter Hart. Greg Teese from Nelson is the next one through. And as we told you, just the one competitor in two-wheel drive, and that was Marcus van Klink.
Well, it's a big thanks to Hannah and Gordon from Legwork for the Rally Xtreme and Stu Stanners from Century Batteries for the drag racing. See you next week on Retro Motorsport, and thanks very much for watching.
You'd have to say as we're back on board with the circuit here at Pyra. Here's the race leaders. Oh, there are all sorts of problems.
Oh, big carnage. Oh, straight to the barriers and through the smoke we come. What a